Hey, tonight's shave. It is the 30th of August. Staying on the same blade, the Gillette Nacet, and it has had two shaves more than the current date. And so it's got 31 shaves on it, by far the longest I've taken a blade. This is the pack of Williams mug shaving soap that you can get in some stores. It's dwindling now. I had to find one grocery store back home in my parents' area that had it. Most of the major ones did not. I grated it up and put it in a larger bowl for kind of better lathering, but then I started to soak the puck, and so I shifted it back into a more conventional type arrangement that I'm sure that this mug, I bought it off eBay, sure this mug has seen its share of Williams mug pucks put in it, since they've both been around for a very long time. But right away, I'm going to put my brush in to soak for just a few minutes. That is my preference on how I get it wet before a shave. This is a Whip Dog Boar brush, 24 millimeter. I'll just let that sit for just about 3 minutes. And I'll show you the other stuff. Afta Fresh, a little feminine for me, but I went ahead and got it for this Austere August. It's something that's on we online folks in a certain area are doing, where we use the same gear. Maybe some just the same soap, but in my case, I'm going extreme and even using the same blade, same razor, brush, all that stuff. I did a little bit of research on parabens yesterday. One person said that parabens are only a problem if you have a specific allergy to them. There have been studies where the parabens are concerning for women with estrogen-related issues and that kind of thing. Some people say this quantity is not enough to bother you. So obviously do your own research about that. Some companies, even though they might say a product is paraben free, they may have other ingredients in there that are just as bad. So just because it says paraben free, don't assume that you're in safe waters. This is the Blackland dart. It's got the Nacet Blade in there. I really like this razor. It is on the top end of my tolerance level. And I can, when I have it on full bite like this, it's pretty aggressive. It's great to mow down that first wave of hair. But then as the most of the hair goes away and past 2 and 3, I have to bring the handle in a little bit, and that reduces the aggression level to something I'm super happy with. And that has really changed the way I'm able to use this razor. It was too aggressive at first when I kept that same maximum bite angle for all 3 passes. So in the past, I have, the past several days, I have been doing a hot water soak in this mug. That's the first thing I do whenever I get all my stuff ready. Matter of fact, I had to stop myself from doing that because it's just become a pattern. And that's a great way to get this puck ready, because I did a face lather yesterday, just 10-second load in the brush coming into this pre-soaked puck. I would pour off the bloom water, the soak water, and then just 10-second load, and I had enough for 2 passes without a problem. And this Boar brush that I'm using is kind of small, so it's possible if you had a larger brush, a larger Badger or an older Boar that has really bloomed out, then you may have enough lather for all 3 passes. But for me, that's what it was. And so just a short amount of load was provided because I had softened up the top layer of the soap. Guys out there online, though, say that they don't soak anything. And so in that spirit, I'm going to see what can happen. It probably means I have to load for longer. So I want to do that. Okay, so that's why I wanted to soak my brush, get it ready, and then I'm just going to go right into this dry puck and see, I'm fresh from a good lather yesterday with just a 10-second load. So we'll be able to compare it and see what it feels like for me. I'm going to go ahead and try 60 seconds of a kind of a dry load. We'll see what happens. Go ahead and get my face wet. All right, that's done, and it looks like maybe 4 or 5 minutes has been the soak for my brush, which I think is plenty. And I'm just going to lift it out of there just like the past few days. As long as I hold it vertically like this, it doesn't drip too much. I can turn it to the side, the water will accumulate and come out. I'm going to go ahead and say, since I'm going to kind of try for the equivalent of yesterday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is probably about as much water as I kind of wanted to use yesterday. Dry puck and a 1 minute load. Oh, we're coming up to a 1 minute on my timer here, and start. There we go. Well, because I didn't load up the soap with water, it's kind of spinning around there, so I'm not able to do as much back and forth, many round circles as I have been. So I'm just focusing on left and right and up and down because it spins. You know, there are some of those vintage Old Spice mugs that have those ridges that can really help with that, because if you do the soak, this one does contract, get smaller when it dries. The soak puck does. Okay, I believe it was the 0 mark, and so 10 seconds away now. We'll just see what this does. And there. That's 60 seconds of loading. You know, I mean, that might be plenty. That might be good. All right. I'm going to just a little bit more water. Did it twice to soften the hairs a little bit. Helps. Someday I might get a real pre-shave routine, but we'll see. All right, so let's just try a 60-second load. Bit my tongue the other day, and that's why my tongue might get in the way. Ooh, that water's cold. I do use cold water, whatever comes out of the tap. When I mix the lather in the bowl, I usually don't get the jolt of cool because it's had plenty of time to come down to room temperature. All right, my first little lather jumper there. With Williams, a lot of times in the beginning, you will get a lather that is very airy. But if you keep mixing, if your water ratio is right, you keep mixing, it will start to thicken up and get nice. This feels pretty good. Another jumper. I'd prefer to have a configuration, a process in place where it just doesn't fly off as much like that. I don't like having that messy of a shirt at the end of the shave. And who knows, maybe the 10-second hot soak is equivalent to 60 seconds of no soak. Or maybe the ratio or the equivalency there is different. We'll see. One thing I know is I have not been able to get a quick way to a creamy lather with Williams. It's always been, it takes a little bit of time. This is actually looking pretty good. It's probably still a little, you know what I'm going to do? A little too airy and light, the lather. And so as the lather is developing here, I'm kind of taking away the excess and putting it in my mug so that I can maybe use it if need be at the third pass when my brush might need it. It feels really good. It feels nice, creamy. All right, well, let's switch now to the painting phase. smooth out the layer. And look at the richness of that lather on the brush. That's actually pretty good. This may be better than a hot soak, who knows? Or maybe just as good. The hot soak may be a shortcut since you can start the heat at the beginning of your shave, and by the time you've prepped everything, if it's ready, then that might be a nice shortcut. All right, I don't need this earring right here. I'm not a pirate. It looks a little on the thin side, but let's just shave with it and see. Maximum bite angle here. Not bad. Reasonable glide for the first pass. As usual, we are not worrying about taking all the hairs off. Just make a pass. Try to have good contact. Very light blade contact so that it can just cut the things it barely touches. I mean, along your skin, it should be on your skin, but actually right there, I need to wait until after my skin seems to do better when I come from the bottom on the second pass. And third, I come from the outside. It seems to be better for me and my beard angle growth if I come from the outside or on this sides of my neck here. Neck hairs go sideways in this direction for me. And there we go. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'm going to rinse. So if this does turn out to be just as good as the hot soak, I may switch to this type method for my face lathers, because then I don't have to wait for the hot water to come along. We can kind of roll it sideways to get some of the soap that's on the outside of the brush. Feels smooth, feels good. Really notice that Williams, so many times the lather will, if it starts out a tad thin in the beginning, many times it will get really nice the more passes you go, because it's like it keeps mixing the lather for you, and so it keeps working out those little bubbles, which is nice. I may just be a convert. And from the looks of that brush, here's the look of it after I've put on my second pass. I think that's probably enough soap for my third pass. So that 60 seconds might be exactly what I needed. Very nice, very nice. Now, since it's a second pass, my handle is usually going to be a little closer to my face. And like a seesaw, with the safety bar here being the center of the seesaw, then that will cause the blade to be pressed less on the skin. And that will turn it from like a level 7 out of 10 aggression razor, in my opinion, to more like a 5, which I can shave with all day, every day. As a reminder, this is the 30-second use of this blade, and it's killing it. So this was a very simple lather building type thing. Formula and all, very kind of natural, just you know, a 60-second load. Oh, very slick. I'm getting great glide. And that is kind of normal for Williams. If you're not getting really good slickness from Williams, you're not building your lather right, because it's got it. There we go. Man, was that the second pass or third? That's the second. Skin felt really good. I'm gonna rinse it. Okay, my first pass was pretty reasonable. Second pass was amazing, creamy. I've still got tons of slickness on my skin right now after a few splashes of rinsing and stuff. So let's see. This, I mean, I may have just luckily have landed on my favorite face lather with Williams. And I don't have to wait for the hot water to come along. Start with a little bit of water in your brush. You know, it was kind of the maximum amount of water, but then I think I did 5 shakes, something like that. And it looks like I'm going to have the perfect amount of lather for my third pass, and maybe just enough for a touch-up if need be. Feels great, nice and creamy. Let's see what the kind of the cushion is. A little bit of cushion. Oh, yeah. Okay, as I'm feeling now, I'm feeling for my fingerprints, those ridges. It's doing a very good job of dampening that. And I do feel that I have ridges, but I don't feel them distinctively. And so that is a very nice. That's why this has been such a good shave. That's a good mix. I don't even think I need to do any more alterations to that, because that's just tremendous. It's got a little bit of soap left on the brush, so in terms of economy, I've used just the right amount of soap. I mean, sure, you have to load for 50 seconds longer. So in a way, maybe the hot, but I also have to wait a little while, probably 50 seconds or so, for my hot to get here. But if I could save time, if there was something I can do in the process while I wait for the hot to get here, then the hot may actually be the faster method, because it lets you have less load time with the brush on the soap. This just, it feels great. A very light scent. I almost don't smell, just a light soapy scent when it's early on in the puck, and the puck has not had a chance to really air out and stuff. It's very strong. I mean, reasonably strong. I didn't care for it very much. It smelled like citronella instead of nice fresh soap like it does now. This 31 use blade is just giving me a great shave. I have plenty of glide thanks to this razor. Very nice. I mean, look at that lather there. I think what happens, as you noticed, I just had to spend a little more time on my face lathering. And I think a lot of people don't know that they need to do that. And they get that watery lather at first. And it is not a good one to shave with. It doesn't have the cushion. It's slick, but it's not protective. Somehow there's an added element that the cushion gives the skin that adds to the slickness to where you need that to have a good shave. Just the pure slickness of the thin stuff, not quite good enough. Skin feels great. I have zero irritation. This is an aggressive razor with an old blade, and we're fine. Gonna rinse. And now I'm gonna do my kind of usual fourth pass as a neck only type run. And this is, I have not added to this brush even anything I collected during the first pass. That's still there. And so this, let's see, do I have water there? Just add a few. I just want to do this area right here. Trying to paint in the opposite direction of the hair growth to maybe make them stand up and get cut. I've already got an above average shave for me. And so this just has the potential to make it an amazing shave. So let's just see if I can get those a few tips that are kind of sticking up. I'm going to angle my razor and come up. This is called, Gillette called it the slide. I think a lot of people do kind of still refer to it that way. If I am shaving an area and it feels very smooth to the razor when my handle angle is kind of into my face, then I have the freedom to lift it out just a hair gradually until I feel it cutting some hairs, and then I can dig in a little more. Careful though, at this point you might incite some razor burn, so it is risky. What a great shave. All right, I'm gonna rinse and take a look at it. I've still got several hairs, maybe 20, 25, just guessing, in this tough area that's hard to get. I've still got some that didn't get cut flush, but that is almost good for me. It's almost above average. It's probably right on the top of average. And so not bad for an old blade. And who knows, my technique could have need a little bit of improvement. I did do the slide this direction, and since the hair's growing that direction, I could have perhaps done the slide tilted the other way, and I may have had better results, but that's also not risky for irritation. So that choice may have been all the difference. Or perhaps even a straight up, just normal 90-degree pass. And see, that is what happens. Sometimes you drop your razor, and those Parkers, Mercurs, Jaggers, a lot of the kind of more modern razors, they're made of Zamac or pot metal, and that is where they can die, because that bolt that's coming down from the head into the handle can just easily snap because it's not all that strong. Now, they can last your whole life if you clean them well and don't drop them. But this is a stainless steel guy. I had nothing to worry about. Matter of fact, I'm probably more concerned for my sink than the razor with this guy. All right. So we've rinsed it off. I don't really feel like trying to chase a better cut right now. I've got zero irritation. Let's throw on some parabens and call it good. This has a little bit of alcohol in it, and so that's nice. It has been alerting me as to any shaving issues. Maybe I dug in a little too much in a certain area. But many times during this Austere August with this old blade, I have resulted just like right now. I've got zero stings. So my technique was good. Good this time, not always. Sometimes I can get in a rush or something like that. And there we go. It's more kind of like a gel, actually. So there we go. I do actually smell that feminine smell with this when I go back to work late at night after shaving. I sit at my desk and it kind of wafts and catches me off guard. I'm like, dang it, I got the wrong scent. Anyway, so wow. I don't think there's any improvement that can be done, at least in terms of what I'm looking for in a shave. with this formulation, with this process. 60-second load. I think it was about 5 shakes with this type of brush. Notice that this is a Boar brush. Here is an example of a Badger brush that is the same diameter in terms of the core diameter, and you can see it's just going to hold a lot more water, and so perhaps you need to shake it a little bit more, but just keep that in mind as you work on it. So there we go, and here's another Badger that's even bigger, and I think I think it's a 24. Yeah. All right. This is the grade A golden nib 24 millimeter, and the other one I showed you was the same silver tip, but this in the premium grade, and this one's been used more. All right. So this little guy, he's been a great brush to use all of August. Boars do take a while to break in. A lot of his tips haven't even split yet. I might deploy a shortcut method for that, a fridge soak method or one of those guys to get the tips to split. You can't just keep using it, but with this guy I might do a shortcut since it is being a little slow to split. Some Oaks I've had very much like this Smoke Owners Club split a lot more, in my experience, have split a lot more quickly. All right, excellent. I'm going to clean up. So that was a very pleasant experience. I've had face lathers that didn't go nearly as well, where the lather would, you'd have to keep sprinkling water on your brush to get to the right formulation, and then you got all this excess soap on your face that you have to deal with for that first pass. Then you have run out of soap by the third pass. Excuse me. And then if you run out of soap by the third, you've got to reformulate and scrub more to regenerate that soap, and then add more water to your brush. And now that's something that can be improved with technique and practice as you learn how much water to start with on your brush. But I just happened to stumble into the right zone here, the right formula. I don't recommend changing it at all, at least for me, for this brush. Right here, for what I want in terms of thickness, it had a comfortable, luxury, cushiony feel to it, and I'm confident that anybody who was using Williams, who wasn't in a rush, if you need to get in and get out in 6 minutes or 7 or 8 minutes, this soap is just not going to be for you. But anybody else who has tasted and felt the lather that I just experienced, slickness and creaminess on your face, in your hands, great glide with the razor, a little bit of fresh soapy scent to it. I can't see them walking away and having something bad to say about Williams. The only thing possible might be the post-shave feel. I've got oily skin, so it doesn't really bother me. And I pretty much always use some type of product on afterwards, like a balm or something like that. And so if you've got dry skin, then you're also going to use something like that too. And so to me, it's not really an issue. So I can't see anybody have anything bad to say about Williams after using this kind of thing. And I think it's a pretty intuitive and customary, typical situation that people often might find themselves in. And so what's different might be just the fact that I kept lathering. That first bit that was on my face, I knew that was not the lather to keep with. I knew to keep mixing until it turned from airy to creamy. And now that I have a video of it, I can look and time it and say, make sure you lather for 120 seconds or something like that. Because otherwise you're going to be shafted with a thin, airy lather that's not going to be comfortable. Now, maybe it could be better if I was able to find a way for that first pass to have the same luxury feel as number 2 and 3. Maybe that's just what I get kind of with this aggressive razor. maybe a smoother razor would be nicer in that regard. But anyway, there we go. There we go. I am very happy that I landed on this the first shot. I don't know that I could improve on it. I'm really happy about that. Pretty cool. So there we go. Excellent. Like a 97% baby butt smooth on my cheeks, which is very high, without going against the grain. So that blade is just being awesome. The neck feels great. No alcohol sting. Not really. I can't really see any redness from rash. Certainly don't feel it. So I'm really happy with this cut. So again, it was no hot water soak or cold water soak on the soap prior to use, and about 5 shakes of water out of the fully wet brush after soaking for about 4 minutes. That's probably your preference though. And then just get on the soap for 60 seconds, and that ended up to be the perfect amount of lather for me. And then just don't stop that early lather in pass number 1. Don't stop at the airy stuff. Just keep going until it feels luxury and good and smooth and all that kind of stuff. You can even take some of the excess off and do the finger test that I did. And if you can still easily feel your fingerprints, the ridges on your fingerprints, then keep on going. All right. I also have hard water. You may have heard me earlier, and so Williams is clearly a soap that does not have any problem with hard water. I don't think my water is extremely hard. There are some shavers out there with some just extreme water, so I can't speak to that, but I do have hard water, and it's good. So there we go. Everything's clean. Face feels great. How about that? I was expecting to have to go through 7 more shaves before I landed on something good. I'll have to go back and think, because I'll probably be able to land on something good with the hot soak in this type of technique, face lathering. But with the hot soak, you're using up a little bit of time in soaking the puck, in waiting for the hot water. My setup takes enough time to let the puck soak up the hot water. So to me, that's a non-issue. And I could probably arrange my schedule, where my little system, to where the waiting for the hot water is not really time constrictive for me as well. And so that means that I can have a shorter load, the 50 seconds less time loading. So that's where you lose the time. You lose it waiting for the hot water. Whereas with the cold water, no soak, you just get it on the brush and go at it. You just have to turn on the soap for 50 more seconds than you do with the hot soak. So there we go. That's the difference between the two. To be honest, I haven't had the right water mixture with my hot soak method yet. I kept putting in too much water, and so this has actually been a better shave than what I've been able to do with that other one. But I'm confident once I reduce the water to the right amount that I could have this very same lather result, because I've experienced it in other ways. So very nice, very nice, very happy with that. I'm glad that I got a good face lather in. All right, this is Austere August, and it's just about over. One more shave, and I will have shaved with this blade for a whole month. Use the same gear. I am looking forward to switching it up and adding some other soaps to my rotation, but the Williams has been enjoyable. I'm definitely looking forward to using another brush, because I want to make sure that Boar brush dries more between uses, so I like to use it every other use for that purpose. So hey, I hope this helped you. It sure helped me. I'm definitely going to bookmark this one and maybe make some notes on some of the other videos that point to this video. And there you go. Good night. Take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.